learning to play the guitar. My photography career kind of took over, and this took a back seat for a good 20 years. And about 5 years ago, I guess I started relearning the instrument. So anyhow, I'll start with a few pieces by Francisco Tárrega. That was a little etude of my arpeggio study.
Where's the?
The next piece by the same composer is very similar in nature, and here we go with that. Francisco Tárrega was a Spanish guitarist and composer in the 1800s. I believe he died in 1900. But I believe the man who built his guitar was named Antonio Torres, and that guitar builder built the first guitars that were this size. That were pretty much the first modern guitar. Prior to that, it was a much smaller instrument. Anyway, in keeping with Tárrega, here's another one. first two pieces were just were studies, etudes. That piece actually has a title. It's titled Lagrima, and told that Spanish for teardrop. So anyway, this next piece is also by Francisco Tárrega. Another study, but more like whereas the other two were arpeggios. This is more or less scales and stuff. He wrote a lot of great music. I have other pieces of his that I've played off and on over the years. But, okay, so now I'll play a couple of guitar studies written by Fernando Sor, who was a Spanish Army captain, contemporary of Beethoven's. He wrote tons and tons of music. In the 1950s, Andre Segovia compiled a book of 20 studies for the guitar by Fernando Sor. And these next several pieces are from that collection. that was number 2 in the book. Next one is number 4. That particular piece, and a lot of these little pieces really can be really a challenge to memorize. That one in particular, I pulled that one off pretty good. Because there's still little nuances. You go through a little phrase of music, and then in the next phrase, whatever, they change it around, the composer changes it around a little bit, And keeping all these little nuances straight, it's so easy to get lost. I'm going to come back to another Fernando Sora study that I like very much. But I'll tell you, when I was 25 years old, I didn't know that the classical guitar as an art form existed. I was laid off from a job. I was watching public TV, and I saw this old guy at the White House about to do a concert at the White House, a guitarist. And I forget who the MC was, Jim Lear or somebody like that. Anyway, he's outlining the history of this old man and the guitar, and outlining all his achievements and everything, and I'm going, oh my God, and this guy, he really looks old. And it was Andrei Segovia. I'd never heard of him before. And so I'm watching this guy play the guitar, and I'm thinking, my God, he's so old. And I never knew this was an art form. I go, he better teach somebody how to play the instrument like that before he dies, Little did I know that he was one of the greatest teachers in the world and so forth, And I hadn't touched an instrument before this. But I was impressed. About a week later, I'm walking downtown Watertown. Anybody remember Robinson's Bookstore? My regular haunt, I go through there to see what's on the shelves, and I'm walking through there, and here's a small book about this big, hardcover book, only about 60 pages. There's that same old man on the cover. I go, you gotta be kidding me. I looked at that, and I go, wow, look at this, and it had some very simple, how to read music and all this business in there. And, so I bought the book, and then I borrowed my brother's guitar. Actually, I'll back up just a little bit. I have an older brother who's a hell of a guitar player. When he blew out for Florida, I took one of his guitars because I had every intention of trying to learn how to play the guitar. I threw it in the back seat of my car, where it sat for an entire year. I never even took it out of the back seat of my car, which is no good in the winter, in the snow, in the hot sun in the summer. The worst thing you can do. Anyway, So then I see the old guy on the TV, and I see the book, and I go, oh my gosh. And so here's, you know, you kind of learn how to. So I got the guitar, I went home, I took the book, and I'm trying to figure out how to play it well, needless to say. The next thing I needed to do was to take lessons, you know. And anybody here know Frank Stachy?
Yeah.
Okay. His son, Ron Stachy, was a guitar teacher. And he knew something about classical guitar, so I started taking some lessons with him. Anyway, this is a long way to lead up to this story. He explained to me other rudiments, blah, blah, blah. But he started to teach me, he wanted to teach me the first real song, you know, to play on the guitar solo. And the title of that piece was Romance. And it was the first piece of music, the first song I ever learned to really play on the guitar. And it took a lot of months to get it to where I could really, you know, play it anyway at all proficiently. But when Ron played that song for me, I never knew such beautiful music existed, you know. And quite frankly, you know, even though I was impressed with Segovia, he was playing stuff that was so highbrow. I mean, it was lost on me. But anyway, so I will play Romance that Ron Stachy taught me all those years ago. Oh, and the thing is ever since then I go, if that song is so beautiful, what other music am I missing? From that day on, I started searching out. I went to the library, I got all kinds of classical music albums, all kinds of stuff. I just had no idea, because prior to that it was just, you know, the top 40 on the radio. Anyhow, Romance. Anyhow, so I'm back up to Fernando Sor, and this is one of my favorite Fernando Sor studies. It's the study of B minor. Carcassonne. And he was an Italian guitarist. Can't share much information with you because I didn't brush up on his biography. Years ago I knew a lot more about him. But anyhow, here's a couple of pieces by him. Short little pieces. Another one by Matteo Carcassonne. Let's see. What does that bring us up to? All right, let's try a couple of these tunes, shall we?
All right.
didn't recognize that. Try another one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, really, yeah. I'll take the harkens back.
53.
Yeah. You know, years ago, I was, before I worked up any pop material, I was at a party at some ladies' club that asked me to play for a luncheon they were having. And after a half a dozen tunes, one of the ladies said, "Do you know any 50s music?" And I thought for a minute, I go, "Yeah, I got this tune right here from 1850. I got a couple more Beatles tunes. Try this one. Start that over. one stray thought, and I'll just throw it for a loop, because that should never happen. That's oobla dee oobla da.
Yeah.
You know, also from that TV show.
Don't stop.
There was a TV show with a theme song.
Yes.
It was, what was it? Life Goes On.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll try it one more time. If I get lost again, I'll just abandon it. But incidentally, that song was arranged by, and the other two I played were arranged by an Australian guitarist by the name of Joe Washington. And he published a book of Beatles arrangements for classical guitar back in, must have been, well, in the early 80s. The book was long out of print, and the copy I have is awfully beat up. Anyway, I thought it'd be nice to find a fresher copy of it just to have. And lo and behold, it's out of print. Can't find it anywhere. Did an eBay search, and that book is selling on eBay for $200 and up. Yeah. So I wish back then I'd have bought about 10 copies at $10 a piece. Because, you know, cash them out. Anyway, let's try oobla dee oobla da again. I don't know what it looks like out there. I've never seen myself play it. But that's a trick of it,
Well done.
Okay, so why don't I finish up with another Beatles tune? And this one is arranged by a Nashville fellow named John Knowles. And he was a pretty good buddy of Chet Atkins. Rigby, arranged by John Knowles. And I think that's probably about all I've got in me, folks.
Very good.
So, geez, I appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Why don't we all just have a little drink before we blow out?